Welcome to another video, and in this one we've got another 100 kill game, and it's on Devastation with the Model 08 shotgun. As always, if you want to see the specializations which I have chosen for this gun, then check out the playlist on the home page or in the playlist section, where I've obviously created a video for all 4 different classes in Battlefield 5, going through all the guns and giving my opinion on what choices I have gone for in the game, and therefore which ones I think are the best. But without further ado, we'll get straight into the video, and we're going to talk now about the sight which I've chosen for the gun, along with the pros and cons of this gun in general, as well as then going into this game in particular, how I was playing it and how I was finding the majority of kills in the game. So as you can see straight off the bat, the sight which I've gone for is the NIDAR sight or the reflex sight, both pretty much the same thing, like a red dot sight. That's what I've gone for. You know, it's a shotgun at the end of the day, so you don't really need to aim down your sights all the time, so it doesn't matter what sight you do have. However, the NIDAR sight is just very useful because it gives you that focal point, that dot to aim with at the enemy, so you ensure that the majority of your pellets are going to hit the enemy and you can do the maximum amount of damage per shot, which you do. Otherwise, if you go for example, a backhorn sight, or even just the single front post sight, or even I think it's the Lati sight, which is a bit more telescopic. You know, you're going to find that you're going to be less accurate with those shots and hit less pellets on the enemies. So yeah, that's why I've gone for the NIDAR sight. But in general, when talking about the pros and cons of this gun, overall this gun was really frustrating, as with all the shotguns. You can see so many times within the first 2 minutes of this video, especially within the next few clips, the amount of hit markers this gun does, even at really close ranges, when you think that you're hitting most of the pellets on the enemy. It's just really annoying. You do like 4 shots at someone and you get 10 damage per shot. It's just really annoying. Like this year, like 3 shots on that guy there to kill him, and I was very close. So it's a very, like all the shotguns in the game, it's very inconsistent and very frustrating. And it is, of course, one of the shotguns which you can play the most aggressive with out of the shotgun class, but it is also one of the ones with the shortest range on the gun. However, it does always feel like it's just so many hit markers, even up close. So it's just very annoying and frustrating to use. But the main reason why it's really good is it's got 7 shots. I believe that is standard, or maybe that is with the specialization, but it can hold a maximum of 7 shots, which competes therefore with the other shotguns in the game, as well as, of course, it has one of the highest fire rates out of all the shotguns in the game, and therefore this just makes it perfect for being really aggressive, because you have that high ammo capacity as well as high fire rate to ensure you can pretty much beat any gun in this game with this gun, as long as you are within its effective range, which is going to be pretty much within an arm's length. And therefore, when just considering the downfall of this gun, of course, it's used entirely for close range. You do not want to be using this gun at long range. You've seen how many hit markers already I've got, even at close ranges, so there's no use in it at all at long range. I'm pretty sure there's no specialization option for slug rounds, so you have to choose other shotguns if you want to go for them and use those more as like a run and gun sniper. So of course, yeah, do not use this gun at long range. That is its main downfall and drawback. But other than that, it's an all-round really good gun. You just got to hope that you can find some consistency within getting one-shot kills and not just hitting hit markers all the time. So that pretty much covers it for the gun. There really isn't much else to say. It is a shotgun. It's very basic in what it does and what it can, and what it, just in what it can do. So all I'll say is use this gun at the closest range you possibly can, and its high ammo capacity and high fire rate will do the rest for you, and will give you the ability to win any gunfight against any enemy of any skill level and against any gun that they are using. And of course, that fire rate will bail you out, because if you do miss 2 or 3 shots, you still might be able to fire off that next 1 shot, which is all you need to get a kill against any other type of weapon or enemy. So that's all I can say is my overview for the gun. Moving on to this game in particular, and how I was finding so many different places to get kills. Again, as always, you're going to see me hang around on Devastation around C flag the majority of time. It is the main key power position on Devastation Conquest. It's right in the center, the middle of the map. Enemies are always going to be on this flag, no matter whether you've got the flag or the enemy's got the flag, because they're either going to be defending it or going to be holding it. defending it or attacking it, sorry. So yeah, there's always going to be enemies there no matter who's controlling the flag. It's right in the center of the map, and so therefore if you need to move off the flag, off C flag, to go to any of the other flags, it is in the middle of the map, and so it's the closest distance to any of the flags around it. So yeah, it's just absolutely perfect to find kills until you do need to move, and then when you do need to move to a different flag around the map, so around C flag, because C flag is in the center of the map, you've only got a short distance and equal time to run to all of the other flags around it. Whereas if you're hanging around on B flag all the time, and suddenly the enemies are all the way on the other side of the map on D flag, then you've got to spend 2-3 times the amount of time to run from B to D than you have got to do from C to D, if that makes sense. So C flag is the perfect power position. There's going to be enemies there all the time, and it's also obviously the most fastest way to get to all the other flags around the map within a quick time. And that is why you'll see right here in situations like this, even though they got B flag and I could run over to B flag and all the enemies could spawn on B flag because they're holding it, I'm never going to push beyond that point to B flag because it's not worth the time to run all the way there when the enemies are always going to be rotating from B to the mid-map C flag anyway. So you might as well let the enemies come to you. You waste less time running around. And yeah, that's why I'm never going to push to B flag unless it's guaranteed that there's crap loads of enemies there. Now this room, or rather pathway here, which you see me in now, is kind of like the second power position or power route, which I always use and have talked about in previous videos. That whole pathway through those buildings there, you've got the windows which overlook D flag, which means you don't have to actually push off and down onto D flag. Again, less running time for you to do. You can see the enemies on the flag, and you can obviously wait for the enemies to push from D to C. So it's perfect. You don't have to push onto D, even though I am here in this case. You can move into the corner of the building, back where I was on that power route, which can overlook one of the main entrances on C, as well as the spawn flag at A, or rather E. And of course you can push all the way through then to look at one of the other main entrances at C. So it's just a perfect route to be able to see enemies, as well as it is also an elevated position, so you get a bit of height advantage as well over enemies. So it's just absolutely perfect way to traverse and travel around the map, and you don't even have to move from there because enemies are always going to be coming to you in that situation. So yeah, that's that one along with C flag are the main two power positions which you should be using throughout this game when you're obviously not going to different flags in the first place. One key tip which I've thought about, which is something I could highlight for anyone who's going to play or obviously use shotguns or just close range weapons in general, you don't always have to be the person who's being really aggressive and running to find the enemies or straight to the enemies rather, but because you've got such a short range weapon, if enemies are waiting for you or you have to run through a really open area to get to them, it might be better for you to wait for them to come to you because you can always be stuck behind cover. Or you can stay in an area where there's loads of cover and where where it is close quarters when that enemy enters your area which you are in. So effectively, and as soon as you start firing off shotgun shots and enemies can hear you and they know where you are, they will come to you anyway. So don't go hunting enemies all the time. If you do have to run out in the open or run across a really open area, you're better off just waiting for the enemies to come to you. You're not going to be running, so you won't have the time to kill factored in when you have to stop running and pull your gun up and aim in. You'll just be at walking speed waiting for the enemy to come to you, and if the enemies are running into you, they've also got to factor in the time to stop running to get the kill on you, and you're using a shotgun. So waiting for enemies to come to you is very, very important when you are using a shotgun, and just don't run out in the open to enemies. If you have to, wait for them to come to you. And now what I've said there doesn't mean to just camp and stay with the gun all the time on one spot, because it is a close range weapon. You're not going to be able to get any kills if you aren't moving around and finding enemies. But I mean, what I basically mean is just stick to all the areas of the map which are close quarters, and if you do have to run across a massive open area, you're better off just waiting for enemies to come to that area than going out in the open, because as soon as you're out in the open, you cannot fight back against them if they start shooting at you from range. So that's what I mean there. But yeah, that pretty much covers it for this video. Managed to get a 100 kill game. It was a very frustrating game because of all the hit markers. But yeah, that's another one ticked off. That's almost all the playlist done. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.
melody tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I.